Music in video games is important. It's used in the same ways as movies and is an effective way of creating mood and atmosphere to aid what is happening on screen. This is more commonplace in linear story-based games in which it could aid emotional scenes, and it's also used in action and horror games in which the music gets your adrenaline going to match the fast-paced gameplay or builds up tension to a dramatic jump scare. Or it's just there to alleviate the silence in menu or options screens. And video game music is good. Some pieces are certainly memorable and are not bad. I even use some of those tracks in my videos for background music to alleviate the silence and boredom of my voice. There are some great video game soundtracks such as Bastion, Chrono Trigger, Crypto the Necrodancer, Cuphead, Doom, Donkey Kong Country 2, Elder Scrolls V, Final Fantasy 15, and many more. But in video games, what you do in game never affects the music, and the music never affects the gameplay. In Link to the Past, the music doesn't affect what I do. Sure, it can make me feel things if I'm emotionally unstable, but it's not affecting how I play. Keep that in mind for later. But what about games in which that is the case? Games in which music is a part of the gameplay. Well, that's why I wanted to take a gander at some games in which music is a part of the gameplay and see why people enjoy these types of games. So, come with me as we go down the rabbit hole that is music games, or as pro elite gamers call them, rhythm games. Also, if I do not mention your favorite obscure rhythm game from Japan, I'm sorry, but I'm not an expert. Plus, this is a more general video, so let us take it back. Take it back. Take it way back. Take it way back to the future that is 1996 in Japan. So Mario 64 came out, and that was cool. And Sony has this machine they call the PlayStation. A Japanese man named I'm not gonna butcher that. Here's his name on screen. A Japanese man aims to make a game that incorporates music as a part of its gameplay. And out of this came Parappa the Rapper. This was considered the first of its kind, a game in which music plays a major role in the game. You see, the game worked like this. When the button prompt went through the gray circle, you click the corresponding button. And you have to time it to do it more effectively. And that was all you do. However, by listening to the music and getting in sync with the rhythm, you can time those button presses more effectively. Now, the music was quite adequate, and there were some catchy beats and some good tracks that make this a classic soundtrack. Now, the game was somewhat popular enough to grow its own fan base, however, it was not big enough to consider the game to be mainstream. However, this laid the groundwork for so much potential for so many games that could take this established framework and expand upon it. And in fact, this did happen with games like DDR, or as many people call it by its maiden name, Dance Dance Revolution. So Dance Dance Revolution, which I'm gonna shorten to DDR, was developed by Konami and released in September of 1998 in Japanese arcades. The game worked in the same way as Parappa the Rapper, however the difference was, with Chance the Rapper, you had to use your thumbs, whilst with DDR you have to use your feet, which in turn gave the player the illusion that they were dancing, yet you didn't need to have prior knowledge of how to dance. And there were even licensed songs mixed in there, but they were mostly Japanese techno music, so if that's not your thing, well then, sorry bud. Fast forward to March of 1999, when the Circle K decided to bring over DDR to the Wild Wild West, and it exploded. Everyone was playing DDR at the time. It was the next big fad. To put it in perspective for the younger children, this was the Fortnite of the early 2000s. There were hundreds of more machines made, and there were many home console ports as well. There was even a version with Mario. However, it was just a fad, and around 2005 to 2006, the hype for DDR died off, and it was never as popular as it once was. However, the effects of the game had on the industry were huge. This led to a ton of companies throwing their hat into the ring by making their own rhythm games. The first notable release after DDR done up and died was Guitar Hero by Harmonix. Now, Guitar Hero worked the same way as DDR, but with a twist. With Guitar Hero, you played with, you guessed it, a guitar. It works the same way as DDR. You must time your button presses to match up with what's happening on screen. What is cool is you get this giant plastic guitar to go along with the game so you can actually play it. It also used mostly pre-existing American rock music along with newer music from 2005. Now this was a neat concept, but slowly died out for two major reasons. One, like DDR, it was a fad. And two, oversaturation. Around this time in 2009, a game you probably might have heard of came out called Just Dance. Now, Just Dance functioned in a similar manner to DDR, in which you gotta move your entire body, but this time you do actual dance moves. This game was super popular since mostly anybody could play it, and it catered to casual audiences. For a while it got a yearly release, even up to 2020. The most recent game was even released on the Wii. The hype for these games died off substantially over the years, but some people still play them, so Nintendo also threw their hat into the ring with Rhythm Heaven, which was originally for the Game Boy Advance, though this was Japan only. Rhythm Heaven was a game in the same manner of WarioWare, but with music. It's not talked about as much anymore, with the last notable release in 2015 for the 3DS, but I had to mention it, otherwise major fans of Rhythm Heaven games would have crucified me otherwise. So those were the major games that a general audience would probably know. But there still are some notable titles that are worth mentioning. Taiko Drum Master, a rhythm game with a taiko drum. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, a game with Donkey Kong where you hit a drum. This was also the first game to be rated E10+. That's some fun fact, did you know gaming trivia for you. Thumper, a weirder one that makes me feel as if I'm tripping out. Crypta the Necromancer, a game that nobody played except for its spin-off counterpart, Cadence of Hyrule. It's the same game but Zelda themed, which is super cool. It's like Link to the Past, but you have to move to the music. The soundtrack includes some stellar remixes of older Zelda songs. It's such a fun game, and I would probably consider it to be one of my favorite Zelda games. Hatsune Miku Project Diva Arcade Future Tone. I don't understand it, but apparently it's popular, so OSU, which stands for Ohio State University, is a college in Ohio. And we'll end off this video with probably my favorite rhythm game, Beat Saber. Beat Saber is a VR game in which you have two lightsabers like Anakin in that one scene from Revenge of the Sith. Do it. And you use them to hit blocks that come at you. These blocks are colored differently and have arrows on you telling you which way to hit them. It's a super addicting concept, especially in VR. However, there is only a fixed amount of songs in the game. The developer chooses which songs can be officially put in the game. Officially. However, you can get custom songs through fan mods along with custom savers and so forth. This opens the game to so many possibilities. Due to this almost endless selection of songs and addictive gameplay, with no doubt in my mind, this makes this my favorite rhythm game of all time. And that is what makes a good rhythm game. Simple but addictive gameplay that is easy to grasp but hard to master, and good music to go along with it. When you have one but lack the other, the game is not as fun. Rhythm Heaven is fun to play, but I can't keep listening to its soundtrack all day. And that is what is most important at the end of the day, the music. It's a major part of our culture and is a form of artistic expression. Rhythm games aren't just a way to show off how fast your reflexes are, it's a way to embrace music as a whole. And I'll leave it on that note. Thanks for watching though, have yourselves a good day, and make sure you drink some water. It's hot outside and you don't want to get dehydrated, so drink up!